Hey everybody, welcome back to Mr. Fincham's Fireside Follow-Alongs, and today we're going to be reading out of our science book, the Teach TCI, Unit 4, Lesson 3, Why is There Day and Night? Before we begin, I'm just going to kind of recap the question that is on your guys' newsletter for today, and here it is. After reading the assigned text for the day, you will create a graphic to show what you learned. You can use Seesaw, Keynote, Pages, or other graphic apps and software, or a blank sheet of paper for this assignment. You will create an image that represents what you learned today in your science reading. Items you have to include in your graphic are 1. A title that represents the overarching main idea of what you read. 2. Include 4 facts or quotes from the text in your image. Some students like to make these the border of their drawing. And 3. Include an image either drawn or a graphic you obtained somewhere else. You are allowed to use any additional items that you want. The point of this activity is to use your creative side to show what you learned. So, without further ado, we're just going to kind of jump right into it. So, why is there day and night? First section. From space, Earth looks like a blue marble. Why is part of the marble always in a shadow? You will learn about Earth's rotation and how it causes the patterns of night and day and sunrise and sunset. These daily patterns also change over the course of a year, so sometimes it is daytime for longer than on other days. And here's a couple things that you guys can click to check your understanding. And here's an image of Earth. We're going to go to the next page here. Page 297. And again, I'm going to click the main idea button because that helps me understand key important details. Section 1. The Earth spins on its axis. If you watch the sky during the day, you will see the sun rise in the east. It seems to move slowly across the sky all day, and in the evening, it will set in the west. This pattern happens every day. To people standing on Earth, it seems that the planet is still, and that everything around it in space, including the sun, is moving. But the sun only looks like it is moving across the sky. In fact, the sun stays in one place in the center of the solar system, and it is Earth that moves. To understand why the sun appears to move, think about riding on a carousel. As you watch the people standing around the spinning carousel, they appear to move, but they are not moving. You are moving. In a similar way, the sun appears to move in the sky because Earth is moving. Because you are moving in a circle on the carousel, you see the same people over and over again. Similarly, the sun seems to rise and set in the same pattern every day because you move in a circle when you are on Earth. You move in a circle because Earth rotates on an axis. To rotate means to spin. Earth's axis is an imaginary line going through the middle of the planet from its north pole to its south pole. Earth makes one complete spin, or rotation, about its axis every 24 hours. So each rotation is one day on Earth. And here, this orange bar, this is the axis. And if you guys scroll down, here is a word bank that you guys will practice your vocab. You can insert them here. And down below, write a poem about how Earth's rotation causes day and night. Be sure to use these terms: rotate, axis, sun, move, and Earth. So here's a picture of the Earth, right? Let's pretend my little cursor here is the sun. If the sun is here on this side, right, then the shadow, the dark part, will be this half. Now, if my sun is over here, the shadow is going to be this half. So one side of the Earth is always facing the sun, which makes it day, and the other side is in shadow, which makes it night. And we're going to go to the next section, page 298. And again, I'm going to click that main idea button. Helps me keep an eye on things I need to pay attention to. Section 2. Earth's rotation causes day and night. What is the difference between day and night? To answer this question, you might look at the sky. Day is any time that the sun is in the sky, and night is any time that the sun is not in the sky. Day and night are caused by Earth's rotation. Because Earth rotates, the sun seems to change its position in the sky throughout the day. In the middle of the day, the sun is at its highest point, and the part of Earth you are standing on is facing directly towards the sun. As the day continues, Earth continues to rotate, and the part of the Earth you are on is no longer facing the sun. As a result, the sun seems to be lower in the sky. Eventually, Earth rotates so much that the part you are standing on is facing away from the sun. This causes the sun to drop below the horizon, and a sunset occurs. We're going to go to the next section, but before we do, notice here's the sun, and here's the Earth. The side of the Earth that's facing the sun is lit up. It's illuminated, which is why it's day. Now, this other half back here that you can't see is facing away from the sun, which is why it's night. Next section. After sunset, Earth continues to rotate. Just after sunset, there's usually a little light in the sky because the part of Earth you are on is still almost facing toward the sun. As it gets later into the night, Earth rotates more. In the middle of the night, the part of Earth you are on is facing directly away from the sun. During this time, the sky is usually very dark. Then Earth rotates more, and the sky starts to get lighter. Eventually, it rotates enough so that the sun rises up over the horizon again. But the sun is still low in the sky. Earth continues to rotate, and by the middle of the day, it is directly overhead, just like the day before. Because Earth rotates once every 24 hours, you see this pattern of the sun's movement once every 24 hours. And here's the horizon, right? Just like beyond the horizon. And there is a short video here for you guys to check out. It's pretty cool. I'm not going to click it for you guys right now, but I strongly recommend that you guys check it out. And here's another check your understanding. Day and night are caused by what? Multiple choice. Remember, use your POST strategy, your process of elimination. There is also a video here for you guys to watch, and there are 8 of these. Whoops. I did not mean to click that, but that's okay. And we're going to go to the next section. This is going to be page 299. And again, I'm going to click that main idea button. Section 3. It is a different time of day in different places. Suppose that you live in Hawaii. You text a photo of the sunset to your cousin in New York. Your cousin replies, "Why are you texting me after midnight?" How can it be after midnight in New York when it is not even 7:30 p.m. in Hawaii? New York and Hawaii are in different time zones, so it is never the same time in both places. Next section. A time zone is a part of the world where the same standard time is used. For example, Iowa and Arkansas are in the central time zone. So when it is 5 p.m. in Iowa, it is also 5 p.m. in Arkansas. So this is where Arkansas and Iowa are. Another way to think about this is if you live on the East Coast, remember it says the sun rises in the east. So the sun is here, rising in the east. The reason why they're 3 hours ahead, so when the East Coast sees daylight, us here on the West Coast, it's still 3 hours away from us being able to see the sun. So it's still dark. And then once it gets a little bit later in the day, the sun moves and then it's light over all of the U.S. Next section. The time in each time zone is based on the pattern of the sun's position in the sky. The moment when the sun is at its peak, or the highest point in the sky, it's called noon. But the time that the sun is at its peak differs from place to place. The sun's position in the sky changes because Earth rotates. For a given spot on Earth, the sun is at its peak when the spot is pointed directly at the sun. So it will always be noon in New York before it is noon in Hawaii. time zones are set up such that the sun is at or near its highest point at 12 p.m. The world is divided up into 24 time zones. The times in these time zones are 1 hour apart. The United States spans 6 time zones. New York is in the Eastern time zone. Hawaii is in the Hawaii Alation time zone, which is 5 hours behind the Eastern time zone. So when it is midnight in New York, it's 7 p.m. in Hawaii. And here is a check your understanding thing for the time zone. There's 5 of those. Notice the different time zones all throughout the world, right? And here is a complete these tasks. Right noon or 12 p.m. and Eastern in the Eastern time zone of the United States. You're going to label these 5 time zones. And we're going to go to page 300. Again, I'm going to click that main ideas tab. I love that tab. It helps me. I hope it helps you guys as well. And we're going to go to section 4. The amount of daylight changes during the year. Every year the sun rises and sets in a predictable pattern. But the sun does not rise at the same time each day, and it does not set at the same time each day. So, there is another pattern about the sunrise and sunset that you can observe, a pattern of changes throughout the year. You can observe the time that the sun rises and sets and see how it changes. During summer, you might notice that the days seem very long. But this is because the sun rises early in the morning and sets late in the evening. The sun might rise at 6 a.m. and set at 8 p.m. The sun would be in the sky for 14 hours. There are more hours of daylight than hours of night in the summer. Next paragraph. During fall, there are fewer daylight hours than during summer. There are about the same number of hours of daylight as hours of night. The sun might rise at 7 a.m. and set at 7 p.m. so would be in the sky for 12 hours. Next paragraph. There are the fewest hours of daylight during winter. There are fewer hours where the sun is in the sky than hours of night. The sun might rise at 7:30 a.m. and set at 5 p.m. There would be only 9.5 hours of daylight. Next paragraph. During spring, the sun is in the sky for a longer period of time than during winter. There are about the same number of daylight hours in spring as in fall. There are more daylight hours in spring and fall than in winter, and fewer hours than in summer. So here's a little graph that says sunrise and sunset times in Denver, Colorado. So here's the times here, and here's the days, right? Notice how it changes. And here's another section to check your understanding. This model follows the sun, the shortest day, depending on whether it's summer or winter. And here is the investigation. I'm going to read it to you guys real quick. Kim wanted to investigate how daylight changes throughout the year. She followed these procedures. She chose a location close to home that she would observe once a month. On the first day of each month, she observed and recorded the sunrise time. The same day, she observed and recorded the sunset time. Then she figured out the number of hours of daylight. So here's her recordings. And here's your task. So carefully observe the table on the previous page. Not the previous page, but just above. This is the table. Then create a bar graph of the data from Kim's investigation. Title the graph Hours of Daylight in Phoenix, Arizona. Label the x-axis month and the y-axis daylight hours. And here's the graph for you guys. Now remember, the x-axis is the one that's going straight. So the bottom, this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. And then here's a short answer question for you guys. Explain how daylight changes during a year. Make sure to describe the pattern of daylight during all 4 seasons. Give specific evidence from the data gathered during Kim's investigation. We're going to go to the final page of this section, page 301. Lesson summary. Why is there day and night? Section 1. Earth spins on its axis. The sun appears to move in the sky, but it is actually not moving. Rather, it is Earth that is moving. Earth rotates around an axis. Earth's axis is an imaginary line running through its north and south pole. Earth takes 24 hours to rotate around its axis. This rotation is 24 hours, or 1 day on Earth. Section 2. Earth's rotation causes day and night. Day and night are caused by Earth's rotation. When it is day, the part of the Earth you are on faces the sun, and when it is night, the part of the Earth you are on faces away from the sun. Because Earth rotates around its axis every 24 hours, you see this pattern of day and night every 24 hours. Section 3. It is a different time of day in different places. People in a time zone use the same standard time. There are 24 time zones in the world, 6 of which are in the United States. The time in each time zone is based on the pattern of the sun's position in the sky. In each time zone, the sun is at or near its highest point at 12 p.m. 12 p.m. is noon. Section 4. The amount of daylight changes during the year. The time that the sun rises and sets changes in a pattern. If you observe the time that the sun rises and sets, you would see this pattern. Spring and fall have about the same number of daylight hours. It is daytime for the longest during the summer, and it is daytime for the shortest during the winter. And here is your last kind of drag and drop vocabulary. Check your understanding. And we are going to stop there for today. But before we do, I'm going to reread you guys your task for Thursday. And remember, there is no school for Friday. So here it is. After reading the assigned text to you for the day, create a graphic to show what you learned. You can use Seesaw, Keynote, Pages, or other graphic apps or software, or a blank sheet of paper for this assignment. You will create an image that represents what you learned today in your science readings. Items you have to include in your graphic are, number 1, a title that represents the overarching main idea of what you read. Number 2, include 4 key facts or quotes from the text in your image. Some students like to make these the border of their drawing. So imagine a square. The 4 facts, you can have 1 up top, 2 facts on the sides, and 1 underneath your drawing. 4 sides to a square, 4 key facts or quotes. You can put that around your picture if you'd like. And number 3, include an image either drawn or a graphic you obtained somewhere else. You are allowed to include any additional items you would like. The point of this activity is to use your creative side to show what you learned. I really enjoyed looking at some of your artwork that you guys sent me last time. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing it again. As always, if you guys need help or if you have questions or there's something you're not understanding, please let me know. You can write me on Seesaw. You can join our office hours. You can write me an email. And if you need to schedule a time that is not our typical office hours, just let me know and we can make it work. So thank you guys for following along with me. I'm going to call it a day and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.